Now, while you may not be able to afford gas, Congress is doing their part, working for you, making sure that that gas goes even higher. Yesterday, I told you about the Lieberman-Warner bill. Make blood shoot right out of your eyes. It's a massive program to cut carbon emissions for Mother Earth. I told you yesterday how the program will raise energy prices and reduce our GDP by $3 trillion, which means you'll have less money to spend. Now, naturally, our elected representatives support this because they stand to rake in about $6 trillion. Funny, you never seem to hear that as the motivation from the senators. What you do hear is crap like this from Senator Boxer.
We are going to see desperate refugees throughout the world. We're going to see droughts and floods such as worse than the ones we've seen. We wouldn't lock our child in a hot car, in front of a supermarket. We cannot consign the next generation to a hot planet.
The real story is, this isn't like leaving your kid in a hot car at the supermarket. It's like leaving your kid in a hot car, then taking away all of his allowance, and then going into the supermarket to pay double for the milk that you wanted to get. The cap-and-trade bill, which is supported in some form or another by Obama, Clinton, and McCain, glad we've got a choice between these three, is worse than a Band-Aid fix because it creates more problems for you, the ordinary American. It doesn't do anything about the kid in the hot car. This is like the tobacco issue. You know what? If this is so horrible, if these politicians really believe the fate of mankind rests on carbon emissions, then ban carbon emissions. That would be the answer, wouldn't it? Oh, no, you couldn't do that. No, it would be much too lucrative. I mean, we just have to milk the tax dollars out of it. If hurricanes and floods are only going to get worse, then let me ask you this, Barbara Boxer. Why are the Democrats renewing the National Flood Insurance Program and supporting a bill to nationalize hurricane insurance? Both of these measures would lead to an increase in construction in high-risk areas, by the shoreline. Washington, if this really is a life-or-death situation, then it would be criminal to tax carbon emissions. Outlaw them. Outlaw oil. Tell people that they'll go to jail if they live near the shoreline because it's going to be too dangerous. Move the hell away from the ocean if this is true. Don't try to tell me that your political tax answer is an actual solution to our energy crisis or global warming, because it is not. Instead, as Senator James Inhofe said in the Wall Street Journal, this bill will be the largest expansion of the federal government since the New Deal, and the largest tax increase in U.S. history. Now, how good do you feel about Washington? Senator James Inhofe is here. He's a Republican from Oklahoma. Senator, you know what? The only thing you have to say on this is the biggest supporter of cap and trade was Enron.
Well, you have some corporations, Enron, we have Alcoa, GE, and a lot of people out there, and you can't really blame them. If I were on the board of directors, I'd say, let's jump on this if we have a chance to make a lot of money. When you think about the magnitude of the money that we're talking about in a cap and trade, and the auctions that take place, people are out there wanting to speculate on this, and there's only one loser, and that's the guy who's watching us right now, sitting at home eating his popcorn. Okay. Now, this is the largest tax increase, Glenn, in the history of this country. It's not going to pass, in my opinion, but if it did, it would be. Using their numbers, $6.7 trillion over the life of this bill. Not billion, but trillion. Now they say, well, we'll give some of that back, Barbara says, to some of the poor people. Well, we calculated that. That would be a total of 2.5. That means this is only a $4.2 trillion tax increase. I know it's hard for people to understand what that means. In my state of Oklahoma, that means it would be $3,300 per household in my state of Oklahoma.
But that's not the only cost. You have to factor in the cost. Everything is going to be passed on to the consumer.
Oh, everything.
All of it. They're saying this may reduce the GDP by 10%. If 70% of our GDP is from consumption, that means we have less money to go out and consume.
That's exactly right. And let's look at jobs. We got to cover all these things because according to all the analysis that we see, the manufacturing jobs would go down, as it said in my op-ed piece this morning, go down by 9.5%. 9.5%. And you wonder why? Well, the reason is very simple. If we ration energy here, which is what we're doing, they put a cap on it. We're going to ration it. So we have to have energy. We haven't done a coal-fired generating plant in America in 30 years. The Chinese are building 2 every week. So you wonder what's going to happen to our jobs. They're going over there.
Senator, yesterday it was announced over in Europe they're going to build 27 coal-fired plants over there. They're already, because they've got this nasty cap-and-trade kind of system over in there, they're already thinking about moving their steel industry from Europe to Saudi Arabia. I mean, you want to talk about suicide? This is it.
But see, they're the ones, all the countries in Western Europe, 15 countries, embraced and ratified the Kyoto Treaty. I can remember talking to you on your show when that was a ripe issue. Now only 2 out of those 15 have met their requirements, and yet they're starting to lose industry. But they have a huge advantage over us, Glenn. They have nuclear energy over there. You know, they're 80% nuclear over there. We're 20%. You know, the only reason for that is these environmentalists used to say that they didn't want to take the risk on that. Senator, so they don't want oil and gas. They don't want nuclear. They don't want coal. How do you run this machine we're called America?
You can't run a hydroelectric plant in this. I can promise you that they would never allow us to build a new dam in this country because of the damage it would do to the ecosystem and the fish and everything else. They don't want us to have energy. Well, you know what? Some of us do like the light bulb. I'm just saying. Senator, thanks. That's the real story tonight.